Hey, good morning. This morning it is a beautiful Monday, and what a week we are headed for, particularly in college hoops. But before we get to that, I got stuff to say. Look, I cannot believe what I'm reading this morning. And I'll get into, are we supposed to now care about the mental health of athletes, professional athletes, multi-million-dollar athletes? Mike Florio thinks we should, and I don't know why. I mean, Mike Florio was the guy that kills people, and all of a sudden, we're supposed to care about it, but I'll get to that. One crap game. Look, here's the deal. My man, Nick Sirianni, who I don't know. I don't really want to know. I don't want to know anybody. I just like watching this team play. He escaped all of the awfulness that is the beloved Indianapolis Colts. He escaped it. He got out. He escaped. Don't pay the ransom, honey. I've escaped. So Nick Sirianni, who had the worst press conference ever upon introduction and was made fun of by everybody in the media, ends up now in the Super Bowl. Good for Nick Sirianni, better for Jalen Hurts. Look, I don't care who they had to play. I don't care that they had to play Josh Johnson, who's as old as me. Brock Purdy knocked out of the game early. We all know what's happened with Garoppolo and Trey Lance. But I got to tell you, I don't care. The bottom line is nobody remembers these things until when? Until they don't. Nobody. A year ago. Let me ask you a question. A year ago, who was in the Super Bowl and who got hurt for the Chiefs that allowed an easier path for the Bengals? Nobody knows because nobody cares. So now you look at it and you go, wow, the easiest route to the Super Bowl, of course, is the Eagles. They beat a pathetic Giants team, and then they got to play against a four-string quarterback of the 49ers. But here's my thing. Who cares? Don't care. There ain't nothing tainted about nothing. There ain't nothing but, hey, look, 2 weeks from yesterday, they, meaning the Eagles, are going to play in the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts, how miserable, let me ask you this. Think back. Think back to national championship game. Tua Tagovailoa, as a freshman, came in and replaced the supposed leader of Alabama, Jalen Hurts. At that moment, this is what I always think of with athletes. This is why I always preach toughness. This is why I always preach sack up. This is why I always preach don't at me. Get off your backside. Let's go. At that moment, I want you to think about this. How down was Jalen Hurts? He's being embarrassed on national TV. Hey, look, I didn't care. I didn't know who Tagovailoa was. Being embarrassed, that's on you. You'll get over it. Well, guess what? Tua Tagovailoa has been a good pro. Tua Tagovailoa did what he was asked to do. It was one of the great performances ever. But think about Jalen Hurts for just a second. Just a second. Okay? Jalen Hurts had to sit there and watch this. What did Jalen Hurts do? Did Jalen Hurts sulk? Of course not. This is the value of fathers. Jalen Hurts' father's a coach. Did he sulk? No. What did he do? He got competitive, went to Oklahoma, played great, got into the NFL as a third-round pick, got his chance. And guess what happened? He's in the Super Bowl. See, this is one of the most important lessons that young people can learn. It really is. Shut the hell up. Quit sulking. Don't make it about yourself. Make it about getting better. Make it about your journey. Next thing you know, good things start happening for you. Next thing you know, you're in the damn Super Bowl. No, it's true. That's the way the world works. Instead of listening to people that complain for you, whine for you, worry about your mental health, no, you get off your backside, you sack the living hell up, and you go about the business of achieving your goals. I say it all the time. This is a baby. The doctor smacks the baby on the backside. The doctor doesn't tell the baby, hey, look, life's going to be really easy. You're going to have no problems. Just stop it with that. That's why I love the Jalen Hurts story. It's also why I love the Nick Sirianni story with the Eagles. Hey, awful press conference, looked like an idiot, didn't care, went about his business. Went about his business, and now you could argue he's as good a coach as there is in the NFL. The other game, look, Patrick Mahomes, first and foremost, Tony Romo, get out of my life. Tony Romo, just get out of my life. Awful. Screaming, yell. There's no substance. Like, I like Raftery. Raftery doesn't give you any substance on TV, but at least he's fun to listen to. Romo, no good. Absolutely no good. Horrible. Don't let us listen to Romo anymore. Put him on the 10th game. But I digress. That's just for the side. All right. So now this is the opposite. Now, there's a saying. There is a saying in sports. Bob Knight said it. Stupid loses more than smart wins. It's a pretty good saying. Pretty smart saying. We all appreciate the saying. It's pretty good. Joseph Osai. Joseph Osai, listen to this tweet. Joseph Osai is 22 years old. He made a mistake. I feel awful for him. He will be haunted by this for the rest of his life. He needs support from his teammates and fans. If we care about the mental health of pro athletes, this is a great chance to prove it. Now, this is the same guy, Mike Florio. There it is. This is the same guy, Mike Florio, that absolutely buried Scott Norwood, that has absolutely buried people forever. But all of a sudden now, I'm supposed to care about the mental health of athletes? I'm not going to lie to you, I don't. I'm sorry, I don't. I got a lot to care about. Hell, I got a lot to care about. I got kids. I worry about them. I got stepkids. I worry about them. Got a wife, got a mother that's 86 years old, got a brother, got sister. I got a lot to care about. The mental health of millionaire 22-year-olds is not on my radar. Joseph Osai made a dumb play. And I've seen where people say, well, you can't call that. The hell you can. You absolutely should call that. Let me go to calls for just, we're supposed to care about the mental health of athletes. I don't. I know we're supposed to, particularly when it's an African-American athlete. Like, Mike Florio isn't fooling anybody. We know he didn't care about Scott Norwood, white dude. We know that's Florio's MO. Fine. But I don't care about any of them. Hey, look, we all have our things. I think about 4 games every night, damn near. 1 in high school. Kid missed 2 free throws. Cost us state championship. What could I have done better? 1 in college. I turned the ball over against Virginia. Minute 18 to go. On our way to the NCAA Final Four. 3, shot against us at Bowling Green. One of my favorite players didn't block out. We were going to the NCAA tournament, first time since 1968. Ball was reversed. Kid hits not a three-quarter court shot, but a deep 3. And in 4th, a block out against Penn State. Win the game, we got a chance. We don't block out, 3-point play. I think about it every night, so I get it. But you got to fight through some tough stuff. Why do you think suicide rates are up? Because we don't fight through tough stuff. Oh, these poor little kids. No, he's a millionaire football player. Seems like a nice kid. I don't care about the mental health. I'll let you care. I got enough stuff in my own brain that I got to care about instead of worrying about a 22-year-old who is a millionaire at 22 playing football. Don't at me with it. But let's go to Burrow. Let's go to Burrow and let's go to Mahomes. Look, a lot's being made of the heroic run by Patrick Mahomes. Just stop it. It's the only thing our media can do. Oh, my God, it's heroic. No, it was a football play. If he couldn't make that run, he shouldn't be out there, if you want to know the truth. If you want to know the truth, that's what Mahomes should do. It was a good run. Idiotic play by Osai. Next thing you know, Bud Kirk kicks the field goal and a win. I got to tell you, betting against Patrick Mahomes is bad business. Betting against Patrick Mahomes is really, really, really bad business. Don't do it. I did it. Don't do it. Yes, I know the idiotic mayor of Cincinnati caught a bunch of hell for being an idiotic mayor. Who's not surprised? That guy reminded me of that other clown, Pete Buttigieg, who, by the way, a family member thinks should be president. Pull this, it plays jingle bells. But anyway, don't bet against Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback that we have seen in our lifetime. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback that I have ever seen. He gets the ball out quick. He gets the ball out slow. He gets the ball out underarm, sidearm. He just makes great plays. He's the Steph Curry of football. And if you bet against Patrick Mahomes, your brain is going to explode. Mine did. Look, you can blame the offensive line, Joe Burrow. You can blame anything you want. Or you could say this is why Mahomes won. But Mahomes was down basically to his nubbins in terms of receivers. They had no running game. And somehow, some way, everybody in the building knew when he got the ball back what was going to happen. Sure, he got helped by stupidity by this guy Osai. Sure he did. But everybody in the building knew what was going to happen, didn't you? This is the stuff that I like. When people come on shows and they break it down in detail, I kind of fall asleep. But when Patrick Mahomes got the ball back, you sat there, I sat there, and we went, somehow, some way, this guy is going to score. They're going to win. That, to me, is the sign of a great quarterback. It's how I used to feel about Russell Wilson. It's how I still feel about Aaron Rodgers. I still kind of feel that way, always have about Tom Brady, certainly Peyton Manning. There aren't a lot of quarterbacks that you feel that way. I didn't really feel that way about Burrow yesterday, and maybe it wasn't his fault. Maybe it was his line. Too many third and longs for Burrow. But I got to tell you, with Patrick Mahomes, it's no surprise that somebody on the other team does something dumb to help Patrick Mahomes. And I'll tell you why it's no surprise. Because Patrick Mahomes doesn't do dumb things. Patrick Mahomes does smart things. And he forces you to do smart things as well, and most people can't. Most people cannot keep on the smart, straight, and narrow. Most people can't do it. They cannot do it. Most teams, most people will be on the smart, straight, and narrow, and then next thing you know, they veer off course, have a problem, lose a game. That's exactly what happened yesterday. Exactly. Now, there's a lot of stupid that went into yesterday, and I applaud all of it. I'm here from all of it. Hey, Dylan, let's show, and I don't get this, maybe it's a joke, I don't know, but can we show the Empire State Building lit up with the colors of the rival? See, this is where the world stinks. New York should never celebrate Philadelphia, and Philadelphia should never celebrate New York. It's idiotic. We need more masculinity. We need more rivals. We need more oomph. Look at this. Let me tell you, you're a Giants fan, you're a Jets fan. You're like, what are you doing? Like, what is wrong with you? See, this is just like everybody gets a participation trophy. If we care about the mental health of Joseph Osai, then we'll understand. Now, shut up. I don't care about the mental health of Joseph Osai, and I don't care about, I do care that New York has gotten so soft that it's praising Philadelphia. Look, let soft go to Detroit. Detroit's the softest town in America. Yeah, you get shot, but when you deal with Detroit basketball players or coaches, all they do is cry. Not Isaiah Thomas, and those guys, no. I'm talking about the high school, college coaches, and soft as hell. New York, you can't be soft. New York, you're overrated. From a college basketball standpoint, you're completely overrated. New York players stink. Everybody gets a New York guard, they think they're getting something. No, they get a pig. But I digress. New York and Philly, you should be at each other's throats. But you're not. Why aren't you? I don't know. I have no idea. You should be. All right, let's show a little Stetson Bennett. The weekend was nutty. Michelle Tafoya is going to join us. Jonathan Hutton's going to join us. The weekend was nutty. You can't arrest Stetson Bennett. I'll be honest with you. I'm of the day where the cops, if they knew you, let you go. I can't tell you how many speeding tickets I should have got, but because the cops are Indiana basketball fans, they let him go. Here's a video of Stetson Bennett. He was arrested in Dallas on a public intox charge. He chose not to attend the Super Bowl or Senior Bowl to train independently in Dallas. Well, I would argue that maybe, just maybe, that training went a little awry. It went a little askew. It did. Now, yesterday, people tried to put out the cops throwing Baker Mayfield, against the wall as the Stetson Bennett video. No, don't get fooled by that kind of stupidity. No, that's not what was happening there. Not even a little bit. No. Stetson Bennett didn't get thrown against the wall. Stetson Bennett got arrested. But I'm not going to lie to you. Whenever I got a speeding ticket, I took it to my Uncle Roy. He was a judge. I live in a world where a cop would get you home. And if you don't like that world, if you think that's a bad world, I do not care. That's my world. See, if I'm a cop, I go, hey, Stetson Bennett, man, you're Stetson Bennett. I like you. I ain't arresting you. There's no way I'm arresting you. Nah, you've given us too many good times. I get it. Like, people aren't going to understand that. I don't care. I don't care. I mean, I'm not here. I'm here to tell you the truth of most people. And the truth of most people is not, well, everybody should be treated the same. That's not. Hey, look, there's a caste system here. Or maybe this was racially motivated. Isn't that what we're supposed to say? I'll get to the fact that somehow 5 African-American cops killing an African-American is somehow white supremacy. I'll get to that. One thing I do have to get to before our friend Jonathan Hutton joins us. I told you this a few weeks ago. Nobody wanted to listen. But I told you. NFL officiating. Did you know? I got the notes right here. I got the notes from my discussion with one of the best NFL officials in the history of the NFL. I got the notes. Used to be 25 years or plus experience to get to the NFL. 20 years, right here. And now it's 8 to 10 years. You want to know why NFL officiating stinks? I'm going to tell you right here. Over half of the staff, over half, 52%, has less than 10 years experience. Less than 5 years experience is at 37%. Now, you all know the deal here. Let's just get it out in the open. The NFL, the last thing the NFL wants to do is have whatever that diversity study is, say the NFL isn't diverse. So they got rid of older, not only white dudes, they got rid of older guys that used to be 20 to 25 years experience before you got into the NFL. Now it's 8 to 10. 37% have less than 5 years experience, 52% less than 10. It used to be you couldn't get in the NFL. Now they are. In the interest of getting younger, and you know it, diversity, of course. How many women, I mean, you just see it all the time. I'm not saying they're the ones that blew the call, but I'm saying there is a reason. And the last thing is instant replay. I don't care what anybody tells you. I've talked to referees. As soon as replay came out, I talked to referees, and they're like, yeah, this is the worst thing ever for us. Because it puts doubt in your mind. It does. It puts doubt in your mind that they're going to show something that you missed. It's the worst. Talk to any referee. A lot of them are my friends. A lot of them I have beers with. And they will tell you that's the worst thing ever. One of the best NFL referees in the history of the NFL gave me all these numbers and told me instant replay ruined officiating. And he ain't wrong. I totally understand it. Jonathan Hutton joins us. All right, let me go one direction. I saw somebody tweeted this. The NFL needs to forget about all their little rules about who. You got to have a third emergency quarterback out there, don't you? You got to.
Yeah, they've Dan, good morning. Don't at me is on fire this morning. Look, they're going to add the third quarterback option back, the emergency quarterback. Especially with the new COVID protocols that they've put in place, where you get up woozy, you're done, and that's based on the eye in the sky, not the medical evaluation on the sideline. So they've got to bring that back. But I mean, it feels like 5 years ago they did away with this rule. This was done away with in 2010. 2010 was the final season of the emergency quarterback because they negotiated the CBA in 2011 with Kevin Mawai, who was the NFLPA president at the time. He played for the Titans. And one of the things that the players won was an extra roster spot on the active roster for Sundays. Instead of 45 players, 46 players were going to be paid for playing in that week of the regular season. And by doing so, the NFL did away with the third emergency quarterback, where if you played your third guy, you could not play your number one or number two QB again in that game. But it did allow you an extra QB without counting as a roster spot. Now, it also benefited the owners because they weren't paying that player. They were paying him practice squad money, essentially. So 46 players instead of 45, they did away with this. So the team actually still has the extra roster spot, but they use two quarterbacks active on game day like they always have, and they provide depth to another position with the extra spot. That's the real reason why it went away. They ended up paying a bit more money, even though the owners still win in a major way when it comes to the cash compared to the other professional leagues. It's coming back, though. It needs to, because of the COVID protocols, the concussion protocols, and the overall sentiment that there will be instances like Teddy Bridgewater where he doesn't look as woozy as what they're trying to make it out to be. And if he could go back in the game, he would.
Did it make a difference? I mean, if Purdy stays in, given how the Eagles are playing, do you think what do you think would have happened in the game? It's impossible to know, but what is your thought on it?
I still think Philly wins based on how that game was being played. But, I mean, it was 7-0 whenever Purdy got hurt. They end up tying the game with Christian McCaffrey. And from there, Dan, it's anybody's ball game with the way those defenses have played. At minimum, it's a much closer game, and at minimum, it's a watchable fourth quarter for the NFC Championship. That was unwatchable yesterday in the fourth quarter, where you're down 21 points, then they make it 28, and all of a sudden, you're seeing the opposing offense run the football. You have to be able to throw the football to win in the NFL. The San Francisco wasn't even trying to. It completely handicapped Kyle Shanahan's offense. And the funny thing is, they didn't even have based on last night's roster that I checked, they don't have a practice squad QB. They had 2 quarterbacks on their roster. Jacob Eason was let go from their practice squad January 3rd because Jimmy G is very close to coming back. And I get the sense that he would have been the third, and we would have seen Josh Johnson go back to the practice squad a week later for the Super Bowl, hypothetically here. Again, I'm just reading between the lines on what they could have done. They didn't have another quarterback to bring up and have in his emergency, even in this situation, based on yesterday's roster.
Eagles, easiest path, given what happened with San Francisco? Are the Eagles going to go into the Super Bowl undervalued because of playing a mediocre at best Giants team and then obviously a shorthanded Niners team?
I don't think so. Not undervalued. I mean, they can beat you in so many different ways. Easiest path, I mean, they went through the NFL's number 1 defense, even though Bosa was scraped up, sliced up, injured throughout yesterday's game as well. And, I mean, they were facing the last pick in the NFL draft. So congrats to the Philadelphia Eagles. They were dominant throughout. They've won 16 of their 19 games. They've won in the playoffs by a combined score of 69-14. And, I mean, they look like the regular season version of themselves. They have won the war on attrition with their health of their roster. And they bought in and put talent around a quarterback that they were trying to say, hey, go ahead and prove it. And Jalen Hurts has. I don't think they're coming in undervalued whatsoever. And I think the majority of the public want to see Philadelphia win, quite frankly, because I think there's Kansas City fatigue in all of this. It would have been an epic matchup, in my opinion, to see Philly and Cincinnati, because you're getting 2 fresh, young quarterbacks on the big-time stage with a chance to put their first Super Bowl behind them. And in both cases, a chance to cash in. They're both going to. But they could have essentially had 2 QBs going for the mantle at quarterback, and instead it's Patrick Mahomes yet again.
Patrick Mahomes yet again on a bad ankle. Call late out of bounds. Joseph Osai, what did you think of the call?
Yeah. It was fine with the call. You touch the quarterback in this league, you're going to get a penalty. Do I think he feels awful? Yeah. I mean, his post-game presser at his locker would tell you that. But in the moment, he said he was trying to push Mahomes backwards and get him out of bounds because you could tell he was going towards the sideline. He was trying to push him backwards, try to keep him in bounds. Again, this is what he said, to run more clock. Sure, whatever. The guy had a foot out of bounds, and at that point, if you push him, and, I mean, let's face it, with everyone going to the sideline, to the ground in that moment, that was a consistent call that has seen some penalties thrown throughout the season in the same fashion. I don't disagree with it based on how they've called it. There was a misholding call on that same play. Routinely, we will see inconsistencies with a fumble. The option for the each individual umpire or referee to rule it a fumble or an incomplete pass. In this case, it was Mahomes playing on the bum ankle and picking up a first down, and Osai not using common sense. Just push your hands back. Don't extend your arms, and you're not going to get the penalty. It immediately pushed them into winning range, not just scoring range, but winning range with Butker.
When you looked at Mahomes, what'd you see?
A champion, a winner. And the guy who's the top quarterback in the league going up against the guy that was trying to replace him, and Joe Burrow. I think nowadays, and it's been going like this, if Patrick Mahomes has the football late in the fourth quarter, I see a quarterback that's going to lead his team to a win. I see a team that has complete confidence in the guy, regardless of the situation. And it's very rare, but the team that has been the face of the AFC, the team that has represented the Super Bowl, much like we saw from the Patriots, has a bit of a chip on its shoulder. And KC, Arrowhead Stadium, it's amazing to me how much those players defend their home stadium when there's trash talked about. And it's hard to talk trash, quite frankly, about the Chiefs fans and that atmosphere. And that boiled over yesterday for sure. And you've got Mahomes, who feels like he hasn't been talked about as much as some of the other QBs, Allen, Hurts, Burrow. Take that for what it's worth. I mean, he's still the top QB right up there in the league. And Andy Reid going against his former team in Philadelphia for a chance to not allow them another Super Bowl and a chance to get another one of his own. It's rare that a team like KC comes in feeling like an underdog, and you can actually believe it. But Philadelphia has been the team that's supposed to win. KC's been there and done that. But Philadelphia has been the unquestioned number one seed and the team that has all the superstar power. Meanwhile, KC traded away their top wide receiver. So you got the Kelsey Bowl as well. It's a very intriguing storyline where the league always wins on the storyline level. Most of the time, though, the Chiefs, whenever they want to talk underdog, I give an eye roll. And in this case, I'm very intrigued because it's their top stars talking it.
All right, you know what I like? I like the fact, and I don't know if you agree or not, I'm assuming you do. I like the fact that I think now have a legitimate Brady-Manning rivalry in Mahomes and Burrow. I felt it after the game. Even that idiot mayor from Cincinnati kind of contributed to it, right?
Yeah, I mean, what sparks these rivalries are the trash talk publicly. And, Burrow's not afraid to be extremely vocal and honest and forthcoming on how he feels about his overall play. Travis Kelce cutting a promo like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson with Jim Nantz yesterday is going down as one of the top NFL promos when it comes to trash talk. I love it. Mahomes doing the post-game interview, players coming up saying, respect this guy, respect Arrowhead Stadium. We have, over the last 20 years, seen four quarterbacks in the AFC Championship game, at least one of the four quarterbacks in the AFC Championship game overall, with Roethlisberger, Brady, Manning, and now Mahomes. It's been one of those four guys. And Burrow is also putting his name in that list because of what this team has done each of the last two seasons. But the more complete, smart team yesterday won that game. I realize a lot of penalties went opposite of Cincinnati. I don't have a big disagreement with many of them at all. But the more disciplined team, the team that won the line of scrimmage, and the team that could rush the passer won the game. And ultimately, Mr. Clutch, Patrick Mahomes, won the game with that big run at the end of the game to give his kicker the opportunity to make a 45-yard field goal. It's Mahomes, Burrow, and then for me, there's a cutoff because Josh Allen still has to prove that he can win in the primetime moment. And beyond him, there's a bunch of guys that you want to buy into, but you're still not sure. The top two guys, though, by far, Dan, Burrow and Mahomes.
Yeah, and that's fun. Like, I don't like – see, maybe I'm just odd, but I like rivalries. Like, I don't like the Empire State Building celebrating the Philadelphia Eagles.
No.
I don't like that.
Hell no.
Right? I want to – go ahead.
I mean, Irsay, who knows? Or maybe Irsay does this because he loves the Titans' toughness so much. Can you imagine if a building in Indianapolis went two-tone blue because the Titans made it to the Super Bowl? Or here, if they're flying Jacksonville Jaguars colors in Nashville after the Week 18 game because a team from the AFC South went to a championship, won the AFC South championship and moved to the postseason? No. The city rivalries, in this case, New York, who prides itself on being big, bad, and the best. There were betas yesterday, and it's my age group that's doing this crap. Betas yesterday putting the Empire State Building in Eagles colors and then boasting about it on social media. Yeah, it's stupid, and it reflects society in a large way. Everybody has to feel included, including Philadelphia fans who may live in New York. Get out of here.
Speaking of your guys, how about I got a text from Mike Vrabel yesterday. I'm doing a bikes giveaway thing on Saturday, a fundraiser. And he and his wife, look, I got this bike. It's brand new. It hasn't even come out of the box. I want to send it. How about Vrabel sending me a text? What a great guy. I'm all in on the Titans.
Hey, Vrabel is the best when it comes to participation in things like this. And he's done polar plunges here with the media. He's visible. He's out in the public doing things that are helping the overall area. In this case, shout out to you there in Indy for doing what you're doing, and he's helping back you for your efforts there. But I'm assuming this also means that he's found his offensive coordinator, or he's waiting on one of these guys to lose in the postseason, because he sounds pretty bored at the same time if he's texting you down.
Come on. It was a Sunday afternoon. He just, he's hanging out. He's getting ready.
Getting ready to go to Mobile.
Hey. Yeah, the Senior Bowl's coming up. All right. When you look at this game, 2 weeks, everybody should maybe possibly get healthy, including Mahomes.
Yep.
Let me go one direction with you. High-scoring game, low-scoring game. What do you see here?
High scoring for what we've seen this season. I think it's something like 31-28, 28-24. I don't think this is a track meet by any means. Spagnuolo is great in the big moments as a defensive coordinator. I didn't see a Philadelphia team that played its best game yesterday, quite frankly. They averaged less than 4 yards per play, 5 yards per play yesterday. That's not on par with them. They do give you the overall vibe, though, that with their pass rush, they have two top corners, and the way they play the middle of the field, if they are able to defend Kelce, they're winning the game. That's the sense that you get with this. And traditionally, Super Bowls are slow starting games. There's a feeling out process. You got to get over the moment. Philly hasn't been there with the vast majority of their players. KC's back. But again, we're going to be focused on the injury with Mahomes. The fact that he practiced last Wednesday tells me he's good to go, and he's not going anywhere in regards to the injury process this week. He'll be practicing as much as possible. I don't think that's much of a storyline. Hurts with the shoulder injury just set the record for the most rushing touchdowns in a season by QB. So, I think it's a high-scoring game considering that we were lower than we've been the last 2 or 3 years overall in offensive scoring. I think it's going to be a really good game, though, in Arizona.
Last thing, when I was a player, coach, at Indiana, I probably got out of 100 speeding tickets over the course of my 16 years. Then up in Northwest Indiana, my uncle was a probate judge in Gary, Indiana. Everybody loved my Uncle Roy, so I got out of more tickets. I contend that a guy like Stetson Bennett should never be arrested. I contend that the cops have an obligation to get Stetson Bennett home. Give me your thoughts.
Was Stetson Bennett a douchebag to the cop? Like, if he's a douche, then he gets what he deserves in the moment. So I don't
Yeah.
I need to know what
All
Bennett
right.
did to get arrested. It's very difficult to get public intoxication charges. Let's be honest here. Have you been down
Yes.
Broadway? I know you have. You love Broadway here in Nashville.
Yes.
Very difficult
Yes.
to pull that off. So, I mean, if you're acting like an idiot and you repeatedly do it and then you double back on it, and again, I'm speculating here. Chances are you get what's coming to you in that moment. Meanwhile, if you can keep your composure a bit at the age of 26 and not act like you're 19, maybe you get away with it like you're talking about. Because, yeah, I mean, look, I grew up on a farm, and I grew up in a very small town. If you are polite and you are able to keep your composure and you act like an adult, even whenever you're feeling great, chances are, in that sense, they're going to let you walk down the sidewalk in peace. So I need to know what Bennett did, because he doesn't have many backers other than Mel Kiper right now.
I always said, like in Bowling Green, Ohio, there was no there was no cabs, there was no Uber. You had to have a big bar business downtown. So I used to ask police, okay, how's a guy supposed to get home? If I was going to a function and I knew there'd be alcohol, a fundraiser or something down, I always rode my bike. My wife and I rode our bike. A cop stopped me one time and said, Dan, you can get a DUI on a bike. I go, well, then just cuff me. I go, just cuff me, because I got no other way to get home. If I walk, it's, I never had more than 2 beers, but who knows? I mean, hey, I agree with you. The no D-bag rule should be in effect right there. That is the caveat to it. No question.
Yeah, and again, I don't know. You could also be in most college towns, though, you're getting away with that. So I'm with you on the overall sentiment, and that's, whether you agree or disagree with it, I think everyone would agree. In most college towns, you can get away with walking down in a public setting, walking outside drunk or whatever's going on. But no, this wasn't DWI. This wasn't DUI. This is public intoxication. And chances are whatever went down didn't happen over a 15-second period of time.
Right. No, I agree. No, that's a good point. All right, my friend. Thanks for the time today. Great stuff.
Appreciate you, Dan, and we will talk to you later this afternoon on 360.
Yeah, can't wait. 3:20 our time, 2:20 local. All right, OutKick 360. You see it right there, Monday through Friday, 3 to 6. We had a transgender ice skater who looked, I swear to God, I'm not talking about physically, looked, skated no better than I did. We had a hell of a weekend in college basketball, and of course, the Pelosi video was released. What a world we live in. I got college hoops for you. We'll be right back.
College football's in trouble. There's a lot of people trying to keep it from happening.
I think it's a general consensus across the college football landscape. We want to play football.
College football is a huge part of the fall. It's a huge part of Americana itself.
It just really felt like people in the country needed college football to just feel a little sense of normal.
Big news from the Big Ten as the conference releasing its 10-game football schedule.
We go home thinking there's going to be practice the next day. Everybody gets a text, stay home, everything's canceled.
Big Ten fall football season has been canceled.
We just believe collectively there's too much uncertainty.
I guess what I'm trying to understand, though, Kevin, is that was the same position you had 6 days ago.
The Big Ten is an unmitigated disaster.
There was a ton of confusion. There was presidents saying one thing, there was coaches saying another.
Players had to be silent, coaches had to be silent, ADs had to be silent.
People said, how does what you just did make any sense?
And nobody really knew what the heck happened when they voted to cancel the season.
You make this huge historical announcement, and then Kevin Warren never does a press conference to explain it. It was like a masterclass in how not to handle a crisis.
The word really that was lacking in all of this is transparency.
It felt like a lot of stuff was happening behind closed doors.
Even today, we still don't know what occurred.
So you don't tell us parents, that's fine, but you're not telling the young men that it affects.
We have to make a decision to save the season. What about the history books? What about the rivalry games? What about Paul Bunyan's axe? How is that not going to go to a team this year?
This is a failure of epic magnitude, the Big Ten presidents and leaders should be held accountable for the disastrous decisions that they're making.
Then the commissioner doubles down, saying his decision will not be revisited.
And that's the point. It felt like a war was declared on the Big Ten and Kevin Warren.
Everything turned political.
Because if this is medical, then you would have stopped the game of football a long time ago.
I think the Big Ten leaders will tell you that they probably made a mistake in hindsight.
If I had the chance to do it all over last year, I would make the same decisions that we made.
I got to tell you, some of the funniest stuff is going on right now with the world that we live in. And I'm putting this out right now on Twitter. I got a kick out of a couple things, and I'm not supposed to get out of a kick of it. But one of them, let's see which way we're going first, is this transgender skater in Finland. If you or I were going to go skate, this is what we would look like. Let's roll the film here, the tape here a little bit. This is exactly what we would look like. But this is transgender.
Lähteä toteuttamaan lapsuuden haaveita ja alkaa uistella naismoodissa, vaikka syntyperäisin olenkin mies. Ja sieltä on niin kuin 9 vuotta aikaa, eli siihen 9 vuoteen sisältyy aika paljon. Eli kun lähdetään ihan nollasta, niin ihan jo sitä, että pysyy pystyssä 2 jalalla, pysyy pystyssä 1 jalalla ja sen jälkeen rupeaa niin kuin uskaltamaan tehdä jotakin siellä jäällä. Ja sitten alkaa pikkuhiljaa kisaamaan ja esiintymään näytöksissä ja niin edelleen. Että sanotaan, että aika kivaa ura on ollut, mutta tietysti korona tuli vähän sitten väliin, että se sitten sotki kuviota. Mutta eteenpäin mennään ja homma jatkuu.
Mahtavaa. Näiden EM-kisojen slogan on tule sellaisena kuin olet.
Can't say nothing, right? It's transgender. You're a hater. You're dangerous. You're inciting violence. If you say what everybody would say, look, I'm 60 years old. I look like this. I'll skate better than that. What is that person thinking? Well, I'm transgender. I can do this. And I don't care if you're transgender, male, female. I don't care if you're a dog. I don't care what you are. Don't. Just don't. There's no reason. Don't. Stop it. I had a friend of mine that used to say, stop it, stupid. Just stop it. There's no reason for this. There's no reason. Like, I guess just when we think transgender dudes, women, I don't know, are going to take over women's sport, we get this. So maybe there is hope, at least in the figure skating world. I don't know. But my God. I know. Oh, this is beautiful. This is art. This is someone coming out of their shell. Yeah. Pull this. It plays Jingle Bells. Senator BS says it's more sad than funny. Probably right. But at some point, we have to be able to laugh in this world that we live in. And I choose to laugh. Seriously, you got to. What are you doing? Blades of Glory, according to Jason Leary. Oh, man, I got to tell you, that is precious. That is just beautiful. I don't think this is funny. I don't think this is beautiful. I don't know what to make of this. Let's roll the Paul Pelosi body cam tape. You guys got to tell me what to make of this. I don't know. This whole thing is very, very odd to me. Let's see it and get your reaction to it.
Yeah, definitely don't want Olive here. I definitely don't want Olive here. Hello.
Are you sure this one?
Yeah. Fucking said 2620, right? No, 2640. Oh, 40. Yeah, it literally said in that. Hi. Hey guys. How you doing?
Oh yeah.
What's going on, man?
Everything's good.
Hi. Drop the hammer.
Nope. Hey.
What is going on right
I'm
now?
not getting an answer on call back.
Bro, oh shit!
In the area based on the email.
I got him, I got Edward 14, Everton, backup code 3.
Code 3 backup at 26.
Give me your fucking hand!
Units code 3.
Give me your fucking hand!
40 Broadway for 14 hours.
Explain it to me. I don't get it. You know, nobody looked like he maybe had a drink in his hand or holding on to the hammer. The dude was obviously violent. This was nothing like it was portrayed by the media. I mean, if you think this is a gay lovers quarrel, you're out of your mind. There's nothing like that. Paul Pelosi, why he was standing there so calm, I don't know. Maybe he subdued the guy. Maybe he was drunk. I don't know. But the guy was obviously there for a reason, and that reason was to inflict a sick plot to hurt, I assume, Nancy Pelosi, like he said, but also take a hammer to Paul. This is nothing. Not a shock. I mean, the idiots in the media never get it right, but this is nothing like it was portrayed. This is violent, and I hate to see it. I do. I absolutely 1,000% hate to see this. I know we're supposed to, I don't know. What are we supposed to do? We're supposed to make fun of Paul Pelosi? I'm not. Man, why he's sitting there, why he's got a dress shirt on, why, I don't have the answer to all of it. Maybe he hey, look, I called the cops. Word is he went to the bathroom. This is where the media sucks. You can't get an honest read on this. You know, did he go to the bathroom where his phone was charging and make the call to 911? Anything the media tells me, I'm not believing. There's your body cam. There's what happened. And I don't get where we are in this. I don't get what happened. Now, apparently there's another video of the guy breaking the window and getting into the house, but how is the Pelosi House, how do they not have security? How do they not have, I don't know, alarms going off, crazy stuff going off? Hell, I do, and my last name is nothing. But all of a sudden, Dan, you for days made fun of him. Absolutely, I will make fun of him, Greg. No question. And Greg, I know I could say I got a blue background and you would be mad about it, but I'm just telling you, I don't get it. I don't get it. John Buzzard said positive that the guy knew him before, seduced him, but did have bad intentions. I don't know. Bad intentions, that's from John Buzzard on the YouTube chat. Look, I agree with you. I don't disagree about the bad intentions, but this is so odd. And the amazing thing is we'll probably never get to the bottom of this, will we? We never will. You got a media that protects. You got a media that just lies. Nobody's going to know what really happened. Paul Pelosi certainly isn't going to talk, but he could. He could very simply say what happened, but I don't know why he wouldn't. But isn't it interesting that basically these two events, his arrest on a DUI, which got squashed apparently, and then this, they happened back to back. It's a very, very, very odd thing. It's a very odd thing. All right, let's talk about basketball. Coming up this week is one of the great games in NCAA basketball this year, and it's going to be Indiana and Purdue. Now, I had a chance to go to the Indiana game. Indiana played against Ohio State. Ohio State's coach, Chris Holtmann, was a great mentor to my son, Andrew. That game was on Thursday. Indiana won. I sat behind the Ohio State bench, which infuriated Indiana people. Kiss my backside. They actually caught me clapping. Oh, my God, how horrible. But as we move along in college basketball, actually the game was Saturday night. As we move along in college basketball, you see the bottom left and you see the bottom right. Those two teams, Purdue and Indiana, are going to play Saturday. And it's going to be one of those games where the entire state of Indiana is going to be watching. Look, Indiana beat Purdue for the first time in 100 years last year. They did. Last year they won. Rob Finney lost his mind, hit a shot. Everybody's a hero. Indiana's better right now than they were last year. Indiana's got athletes, but Purdue is the best team in college basketball according to resume. Purdue has a man masquerading as a mountain or a mountain masquerading as a man. It's going to be the best center matchup in a long time. Trace Jackson Davis, who gets, 20 and 20, and Edey, Edey, who gets 30 and 15. Zach Edey, it's going to be unbelievable. And I'm telling you, I'm doing an event during the week where we're going to raise some money for my bikes program, but we are going to watch the damn game too. Oklahoma beat the hell out of Alabama. Look, here's the deal. You can put those scores back up if you want. Here's the deal on college basketball. Saturday afternoon, road games, home games to some, in conference are a mother. So Alabama comes into Oklahoma. Porter Mosier's no idiot. His team just gets rocking and rolling. This game wasn't even close, and you're talking about the number 2 team in the country. You're talking about the number 2 team in the country. TCU's been beating everybody. Afternoon games in conference. Hardest thing to do, TCU. You beat Kentucky at Kentucky. I wonder, over the course, let's just take the last 5 years, what are teams' records the day game after they beat Kentucky in the SEC? I'm telling you, what are their records? Look at the home team. Well, that's not true. No, that's not true, the home teams. Tennessee, Texas and Tennessee. Texas never had a chance. Tennessee might be the best team in the country. If I were going to say who's playing the best now, it would be Purdue, Tennessee, Indiana. Indiana's playing great. I mean, say whatever you want. They've won 5 in a row. So Indiana against Purdue Saturday. Now, Indiana's got to go to Maryland and beat the Terrapins on Tuesday night. That will not be an easy deal. Not at all. But Indiana's deep. They're long. If Drew Schifino, Jalen Schifino Hood, whatever the hell his name is, if he shoots it lights out, Indiana's going to be in great shape. He made them so easy against Ohio State. It's fun to watch. And before we go to break, I always do this. Indiana fans are awesome. Whenever my family and I go to Indiana games, it's unbelievable. Like, there are always a couple of D-bags. There was one little D-bag, who actually was friends of my son. But other than that, the D-bag factor is very low. There's a couple older guys, but guys coming up and taking pictures, guys saying hello. It's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. I had a chance to have a nice chat with Scott Dolson, the athletic director at Indiana. Great chat with my former teammate, Brian Sloan, son of Jerry. Great chance to talk to Jimmy Boylan, who was the head coach of the Chicago Bulls. He sat with us. Just a fun night. And as always, I thank you, Indiana fans, for your lifetime love affair with me and La Familia. You treat my wife great. You treated Jared great. You've always treated my son great. And I always want you to know that I absolutely appreciate it. I do. I appreciate it more than anybody can know. Sure, I'm hard on Indiana, but I expect things out of Indiana. Sure, I'm tough on Woodson, but Woodson had to get off his backside and start coaching. And he just did. 3 naps a day in a sauna with a staff that was more worried about being victims than they were about coaching wasn't going to cut it. I did some ripping. Next thing you know, Indiana's playing better. I take full credit. I do. I take full credit for Indiana's resurgence. Because everybody around Mike Woodson and everybody around all of these guys are scared to death. Scared to death to say anything negative. I do. I take full credit for IU basketball's turnaround. The coaches need to be told, get off your backside. The coaches need to be called out. And frankly, calling them out worked. See, you can get to Indiana or Duke or North Carolina or any of these great programs and settle in. Woodson settled in. Things went a little tough. He took a nap. Things went a little tough. He watched CNN, became a victim. He's always a victim. Everybody's a victim. We're all victims. The whole world's victims. But the truth of the matter is they got off their backside and started playing like they should have played, and Woodson started coaching like Woodson should coach. Purdue, that's just what they do. Now, everybody's talking about the beautiful mind of Matt Painter. Well, that beautiful mind lost to North Texas and lost to St. Peter's. So that beautiful mind needs to win a tournament game because, as everybody now knows, because of unbalanced schedules, conference championships mean a lot to the team that wins the conference, but not to anybody else. Always said you play for three things. Whatever they give a ring for, let's go. Conference title, conference tournament, tournament championships. They give rings. If they give rings, I'm all in. But nobody cares who wins the Big Ten except for the team that wins the Big Ten. We care about the tournament. So Dana O'Neill wrote a puff piece on Matt Painter, who's a great coach. But I don't want to hear about a beautiful mind until you do something in the tournament. Hell, Bob Knight went to the Elite Eight starting me as a captain. Are you kidding me? Please. What's wrong with people? Hey, Dan. Yeah. Dan, did the Colts lose? Yes. I got a video out I'd like you all to check out. It's about how Jeff Saturday does not deserve a second chance. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the local minute. Indianapolis media said, hey, you got to hire Greg Roman. He got fired. Everybody in the world said Kellen Moore is the next guy. He got fired. Look, here's the deal. If you're Indianapolis, if you can find somebody to take this job, please do. Just don't make it Jeff Saturday. Here's the reason. Here's the reason that Jeff Saturday shouldn't be the coach. He was 1-7, doesn't have the respect of the locker room, is a me, I guy, and the fan base has literally started petitions. Now, petitions are stupid. So whoever started the petition is an idiot. Let's get that out of the way. The only way you affect change in a professional organization is how? You don't buy tickets, you don't buy merch, you don't sponsor. Well, I'm going to get a petition out. Yeah? You are, huh? Okay. What's that going to do? We got 1,500 signatures. Yeah? Okay. If it were 1,500 seats still available, if it were 1,500, hey, look, we're not going to buy season tickets, then, ladies and gentlemen, we might be in business. But let's be honest. Let's be honest. A petition to not have Jeff Saturday, I got two words for you. My backside. Petition my backside. Don't buy stuff. Don't buy tickets. Hit them in the pocketbook. I'm just saying. That's it. It's simple. There's your local minute. We'll do a local minute about once an hour. We only have 2 hours. A lot of you want local. A lot of you are starving for me to get back talking about local. We'll do it. We'll do it. We'll have the local minute. Coming up, Michelle Tafoya, baby. She's got a lot to say and a lot of stuff. I can't wait to talk to Michelle. She's awesome. She's wonderful. Tell your friends. Let's grow this show.
And how long after 9/11 does your unit, the 160th SOAR, which is the most elite helicopter pilots in the world, how long does it take for you guys to figure out, okay, a plan's being set in motion, we're going to Afghanistan? Was it within days? Was it within weeks?
It was within hours.
Within hours.
So we drive back that night, the battalion commander and I, and the next morning I'm sent down in a 15-passenger van with a bunch of other planners to Tampa, Florida. And we're to plan America's response, as far as the rotary wing side of it. And by October 3rd, I was in the country of Uzbekistan preparing to do personnel recovery for the bombing campaign that was about to kick off.
And this is depicted in the movie 12 Strong. Correct me if I'm wrong, where you guys are going to fly in from Uzbekistan. This is what's known as the horse soldiers. This is going to kind of be the first wave. Is that correct?
That is correct, yeah. So initially we're there for, I want to say about 2 weeks of bombing. And then there is no further plan that we know of. And then all of a sudden, 5th Special Forces Group rolls in. Their commander takes over the task force. We're in Task Force Dagger out of K2 Air Base, Karshi Kanabad, and he wants a briefing on our capabilities. And so we sat down and we started talking to him about, the mountains and the distances that we can or can't fly, the way the weather is and all these things. And he's like, gee, I wish somebody had told us that ahead of time, and ironically, when I was in Tampa, they were one room over and nobody ever connected us, because it just wasn't considered important, but now it was, especially as they heard that, the mountains were, 20,000 feet and that the weather was horrible and all these things. And so we tell him what we can do. And he goes, well, you guys are going to start doing a UW campaign, which is unconventional warfare. That's where you link up individual operational detachments or ODAs up with factions of the Northern Alliance, which were the allies that we were trying to coordinate with. So it went from there.
Let's do a little recap here. The Bills are not playing. Cincinnati and Kansas City. Let me explain this to you. As we wait for Michelle Tafoya, I know that when Patrick Mahomes got the ball back, guess what was going to happen? Guess what was going to happen? We all knew what was going to happen. We knew that Patrick Mahomes, was going to lead his team down for a score. Everybody in the country knew this. Why? Because that's what Patrick Mahomes does. I don't care if Sky Moore was the wide receiver. I don't care. But let me go another route with you. Do you remember early in the season when Tyreek Hill was talking a little junk about Patrick Mahomes? Has anybody seen Tyreek Hill? Has anybody seen Patrick Mahomes? Oh, by the way, he's going to the Super Bowl. Did you see that? Yeah, I saw that. Patrick Mahomes to the Super Bowl. Tyreek Hill where? I have no idea. Probably on the beach. What are they all saying about Eli Apple and all that kind of stuff? Where's he going, Cabo? It's awesome. It is awesome. There's a lot to get to in this world. And the perfect person to get to all of it is the uber talented Michelle Tafoya. Michelle, you're watching the game yesterday. I'm going to go. Hello, Michelle. I'm going to go first game. I'm going to go Eagles. Did you think, I know it made a difference, but would we have seen the 49ers in the Super Bowl had Brock Purdy not gotten hurt?
I don't know. I kind of doubt it. I mean, look, the Eagles were on a mission. I just think their pass rush was too much for the 49ers, and I don't know that Brock Purdy would have been able to handle it. And I'm not sure it's worth even debating because this is the kind of crap that happens, that determines seasons, right? That determines whether or not you get into a Super Bowl. And my son is a big Niners fan, and he was all upset that completion, right, that wasn't that led to a touchdown, the first touchdown for the Eagles. That was the thing that he wanted to blame for the entire game. Well, you and I have seen enough sports in our lives to know that it rarely comes down to one thing. I mean, there can be pivotal plays, and but the great teams overcome that stuff. They just do. And I'm not saying the Niners aren't a great team, Dan. I'm not saying the Niners aren't a great team. They're a tremendous team, but they didn't have it yesterday.
I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but I feel like the Eagles have been undervalued all year. I'm sure I'm wrong. I live here in Indy. All we did was get blasted. Go ahead.
I think you're right. I think that, they came out of the chute so hot, but for some reason, and I don't even know what it is, it's, people were talking about the Niners. They were still talking about Tampa Bay, but you didn't hear outside of Philadelphia, like this big national, the Eagles are the ones to beat. You didn't hear that. And so, yeah, I agree with you. I think that they were sort of, it's a little strange now to have watched them yesterday and realize that that's what people were doing. They were, I think, just underestimating.
Look, when I watch them, I've said basically for the second half of the year, look, I don't know, but victory favors or awards favor teams that win. I mean, I know you could say Mahomes is the best, but I got to put Jalen Hurts. I had him for MVP, maybe not, but I know they got a great team around him, but that dude's got to be in that conversation at minimum. No?
Yeah. He's impressive. The whole team is impressive. I think, obviously what makes Patrick stand out, and this was the great thing that I heard going into yesterday. The best quarterback in the NFL is Patrick Mahomes. The next best is Joe Burrow. And the third best is Patrick Mahomes with a high ankle sprain. And now I think maybe the fourth best was Joe Burrow behind that offensive line because he just, they were just able to get to him time after time after time. But you're talking about Jalen Hurts, and I think Jalen's opening up a lot of eyes. I think what makes Patrick so magical is that Patrick's so magical is the stuff that he does and the creativity of that offense. He's just what he did on basically one leg yesterday was crazy.
Yeah, and when he got the ball back, I've said this, and I do want to speak for the entire nation because, well, I don't know, but that's maybe what I do. But I feel like every single person thought that, I don't care if it's Sky Moore, I don't care who it is, they're going to score. It's unfortunate for that Osai kid, but it felt like they were going to score no matter what when he got it back. Did you feel that way?
I wasn't sure. I didn't feel as confident as you did, quite frankly. This game was so back and forth. I thought we were headed for overtime, and that's what I thought. And I do feel for that Osai kid, Joseph Osai, who had the late hit on Mahomes out of bounds. I feel so bad saying this because I know better than most people how human these guys are, that they're all just human beings and they all make mistakes. It was a dumb play. They were clearly out of bounds. There was no need for him to even touch Patrick Mahomes at that point, let alone shove him in the back. But to understand the price he's going to be paying inside that mind of his for the next who knows how long, that's got to hurt like hell. So certainly that instantly put them in field goal range and boom, game over. But I didn't necessarily have that same belief that Mahomes was going to get it done. I was astonished on that same play that he was able to scramble as much as he was without Cincinnati getting to him. That kind of surprised me. So after that happened, then I knew some way, shape, or form they were getting into field goal range. But I really do. I feel bad for kickers when they miss kicks, Dan, and I feel bad for that Osai kid. And I know fans get to pay to rip on their players, but these guys are young, and to see that kid sobbing on the sideline broke my heart.
I, full disclosure, was dumb enough to bet against Patrick Mahomes, so maybe that jaded my thought of, he's gonna go. I'll say this about Osai. I was 22 years old, a junior at Indiana, and I turned the ball over in the Elite Eight against Virginia to go to the Final Four. And people egged my apartment. They threw my grill. And I got to tell you, it made me stronger. It made me tougher. A friend of mine missed 2 free throws with no time on the clock in the state championship game. My high school teammate, state championship Final Four. He became the CEO of a company, and he's like, had I not missed those free throws, I don't think I'd have been tough enough to handle this. So I look at it like, all right, it's going to be awful for a long time, but there is opportunity to come out the other end. But, hey, right now you have a choice. You either turn to God, turn to booze. That's kind of what you do in those situations.
I think there's probably some in between there, Dan. I think there's probably some in between.
All right.
I don't think it's just that binary, but I do hope. I hope what you're saying is true. In this day and age, you see people collapse so easily. Now, NFL players are a different breed, and they're tougher and stronger than
Yeah.
a lot of people mentally. And so I hope that that's true for Osai, that this totally, turns him, makes him want to be tougher, makes him want to make up for it, all the rest. That's what you want adversity to do to people, right? You want them to come out stronger on the other side. You don't want them to crumble underneath it. And quite frankly, I pity anyone who has not had adversity in their lives, because that's a really boring life, and then you don't get to find out what you're made of. So I hope Joseph Osai goes and finds out what he's made of.
Michelle, also full disclosure, and this is, I swear to God, this is true. There's not 2 days in a row that go by that I don't think about screwing that game up. Swear to God.
Really?
There's not 2 days. Like,
really?
Oh God, it's 40 years ago. It's 40 years ago, and probably not 2 days in a row. There's 4 games in my life that I think about, and 2 coaching, 2 playing, and I swear to you. And so, you I don't know, you deal with it. And you move on. You're a nice person, okay? I'm not, okay? I'm not, full disclosure. I mean, I'm nice, but the Statue of Liberty, putting up the Eagles colors, I like rivalries. I like angst in my sport. Give me your thoughts.
I didn't even see this. The Statue of Liberty put up Eagles colors?
I'm sorry. The Empire
No, fill me
State
in. I
Building,
love getting breaking news in my head. Go ahead. What happened?
The Empire, we'll show it to you here in a minute on the screen. The Empire State Building put up the Eagles colors. There it is. Can you see that?
Okay, I can see that. You originally said the Statue of Liberty. I was thinking that's a stretch. There you go. Yeah. So they're Philly fans in New York because neither of their teams made it. Are you sure those weren't Jets colors? And they're trying to say we got next. Are you sure that there's no homage to the Jets there?
No.
Okay.
No, because they said in the social media post, congratulations to Philadelphia. I like Bobby Knight against Gene Katie. I like Parcells against the world. I like John Thompson against Hoya Paranoia. You know what I mean? Like,
that is weird. So then they didn't do like the Kansas City Chiefs colors on the other side of the building or something. So in other words, it sounds like the Empire State has decided they're going to adopt the Philadelphia Eagles through this process. Is that a fair assumption?
Unless I have not seen the other side of the building.
Maybe this is not an equal opportunity Empire State Building. We're jumping on the Eagles bandwagon. That sounds a little more up the New York alley, if you asked me. And I love New York, but it sounds like they're adopting their little brothers to the west or south or however that works out. The Southwest. I can't see my map right now, but it sounds like that. They're going to adopt the Eagles, which, hey, that's cool. That's cool. It's that side of the country. They can do whatever they want. It's just the Empire State Building. My feeling is they really like playing with their colored lights out there.
All right. This I call the Mike Tirico test. All right.
Uh-oh. Okay.
When Mike and I would do Tuesday night Big Ten games, we did it for 5 years on ESPN, and we had a test with Mike, and it would be, all right, we're sitting at the scores table, and I'd say, all right, Mike, what do you think the spread is? He swore he never looked. I don't know. And without looking, he was usually pretty close in the over-under. So, Michelle Tafoya, this is the Mike Tirico test. What do you see the spread of the Super Bowl being? I'm going to assume you haven't looked yet.
I haven't looked. I'm not a gambler. Do I look like a gambler to you?
No, but you're a sports person that would have, like, you've watched the games, you study, you know the people, so your insight is valuable here.
Yeah, I'm just so bad at this part of the thing. But I'm going to give you my best shot here, okay? I'm going to give you my best effort. I'm going to say Kansas City's going to be favored by 5.
It's interesting. Kansas City, at least according to DraftKings, is an underdog. Philadelphia is giving 2. How about that?
Okay, interesting. That is really interesting. Okay, I'm nowhere close. That's not surprising to me.
You were actually, the degenerates on our YouTube chat here are saying, hey, Dan, it opened with the Eagles plus 1.5, and then a lot of money must have come in. That's the part of gambling I don't understand, and I don't want to understand. What do you see? You see the Chiefs? You think the Chiefs are better?
I think that you've got a magician under center, and I think that you've got a lot of really good skill position players, and not even all of them were involved last night. But I will say this, that Philadelphia run game is pretty damn impressive. So, yeah, the Chiefs now have a terrific pass rush, right? You got Chris Jones. You've got these other guys that can get to the quarterback or at least help Chris Jones get there. But Philadelphia's run game is a lot more impressive than I was ready to see. At least that's what they showed me. And certainly they've had a lot of rushing touchdowns this season. I think they tied a record for the season with some team that no one's ever heard of, like the Yellow Jackets or something they said yesterday. So that was impressive. That was really impressive. I like that. You know what? Now that I'm thinking it through, I really like that Eagles offensive line. And they were able to give Jalen time. Plus, they were able to open up all those seams for these running backs. If Philly may be the more complete team when you think about it, there's just a magic about Kansas City. There's just a magic about Patrick Mahomes. I'm excited for this game because you've got two really talented, super fun, unbelievably gifted quarterbacks to watch. I like the head coaching contrast. I like it all. I'm excited for this. I had picked Cincinnati. I thought they were going to win, but they just had no way to protect Joe Burrow yesterday enough to give him the opportunity. So here we go. Kansas City, Philly. I love this game. I think it's full of interesting characters. It's the Kelsey Bowl. It's the Andy Reid Bowl. It's the Super Bowl. We got a game.
There is a picture of Zach Taylor saying it's rigged on the sideline, talking about officiating. Zach Taylor, obviously the coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. That ain't a good look. I mean, it's a great look. It's a great look for me. What were your thoughts of two things? The officiating, and then I know you put out on Twitter who had the better national anthem. What was the result of that, of your informal poll?
My informal poll, most people thought the AFC, the retired military guy, was the better of the two. He was awesome. Gosh, that moved me. So that's that. I did not see the photo of him saying it's rigged. And now, are we talking a video where someone's reading his lips saying it's rigged?
Yeah, and you can kind of see it. Now, who knows, right? I mean, maybe that's the name of a play call, right? But what
could be.
People maybe you yell out just so the officials, hey, Burrow, it's rigged. And then you call 246 Omaha and then you make a play, right?
Who knows? I mean, I didn't love all the officiating. I tend to prefer the games where they let them play unless it's absolutely blatant. Yeah. But rules are rules, and every officiating, what the idea that it's rigged, I don't see how in the hell that could benefit anybody. And now look, we're living in a time where we're not getting honesty from a lot of people, where we're questioning all our institutions. So maybe everyone wants to question NFL officiating as well. But if it ever leaked anywhere that there was something rigged about the officiating, this league is done. So I just can't see it. I can't see it. I mean, I didn't see any particular call yesterday that I thought, oh my gosh, that's a terrible call. You can point to that completion that was really an incompletion in the early game. But you know what they did? They got around it. They got to the line. They got the next playoff. Them's the rules, right? So no one called to review it, and none of that, and that was probably an oversight. They should have called to have that play reviewed when they saw the receiver get up and go, let's get together. But I mean, to me, that's an automatic, wait a minute, maybe we should throw the red flag. And they didn't. But so whatever, you can question that all you want. The Niners didn't throw the flag. To the idea. So that's the only moment to me that was, unless you can point out another one, that was a real miss. It seems to me one of the great things that the NFL broadcasts have done is they've put a former official in the booth with these guys, with the play-by-play announcer and the analyst. And I didn't hear any particular call that was, oh, this is brutal, or this, that shouldn't be, or this should be, or I didn't. It seemed to me that all the calls that were made on the field were pretty much confirmed by these now unbiased guys in the booth that have been there and know the rules inside and out. So am I missing something?
No. And Gene Steratore, I'm not going to say he's a friend, but we used to hang out. I'd drive him to airport, or he'd drive me after I was doing games. So Gene is a pretty straight shooter. My wife, who is a Hall of Fame, a former All-American Olympian softball player and the winningest coach at Syracuse and Bowling Green in softball, swears that every sport other than hers is rigged. And she's like, this is rigged. I go, well, I coached basketball for 30 years. I didn't feel any games were rigged. It turned out one was. A kid was throwing a game for Toledo. And her answer is always, see, these are rigged. So I don't know.
Well, it's one thing when a kid is throwing a game, right? It's one thing when a kid is throwing a game so he can get a paycheck. It's another thing altogether when the officials are doing it. And so I just find it really difficult to see that. I know it's what people want to think and want to believe, but I don't see it. I'm sorry. There are times, believe me, where I go, God, another flag? Are you kidding me? I do think there are times when a game is over officiated, when I think there are too many flags. But at the same time, once they show the replay and someone explains it, I go, oh, okay, I guess I see that. So, look, there are rules, and the NFL rule book is about the same size as the U.S. tax code. So I think that, these officials have a tough job.
Hey, watch closely. Here's the it's rigged.
Okay, can I do that again? Yeah. Oh, I don't know, man. I don't particularly see it, but you know who we need? We need those guys that do the bad lip syncing. We need them to do that whole scene. That's what we need them to do. Because ultimately he was probably talking about Harry Styles, I think. And, that's probably what it was.
I personally think we need George Costanza's girlfriend, who was I think she was a lip reader. I think she might have been deaf in one of the episodes. Yeah. All right, I got to bring you into this because I'm having a hard time figuring this out, and you're smart and I'm dumb, okay?
Well, clearly you've made another mistake there. Go ahead. Yeah.
This is a sociological question. In Memphis, 5 African-American cops kill an African-American kid, and somehow this is about racism and white supremacy. Look, maybe it is, and I just don't understand, but can you explain that to me?
No, I cannot. To me, this is about 5 bad cops, not one of them stepping up to prevent something this awful. You would think within 5 there would be some safety in numbers. Maybe that's what they felt, that there was safety in numbers, that they could go off on this kid. I don't know. But if anyone, my husband and I were talking about this. We just knew someone was going to find a way to make this about race and white supremacy. Folks, if everything is about race and white supremacy, if everything is about race, then nothing's about race. Why do we keep doing this? I know someone will come up with a theory about how this is racist, even though you have a black police chief and a black victim and 5 black police officers. I don't understand why we're approaching it this way. I mean, I get it. There's this feeling right now that everything is about skin color. And it saddens me. We're just basing all our division in this nation on these things, these immutable characteristics of people. And it makes me sad. It makes me really frustrated. And it makes me understand how people are so disillusioned right now that they see one thing, they're told another. And I don't get it. I just don't get it.
You know what I think, and tell me if you agree with this, maybe you don't. I think that bringing certain people, most people, that bring race into things like this, that are so obviously just bad people doing a horrific thing, are looking for something. There is money to be made as a divider. There's money to be made being the guy out in front of a racially motivated. There's something to be gained. You know, divide and conquer is a saying, but it's a truth, right? We try to divide. You know, we've seen CNN ratings go to hell once Trump isn't there. We've seen the more they get into this stuff, people are like, get out of here. But I think certain people need an element of race to sustain their relevance, I guess is what I would say. Do you agree with that or disagree?
Well, I think there are some people who do. I think Al Sharpton's one of them. I mean, he's made it his whole career. I think it's interesting because I've met some really cool people on my podcast and just diving into just finding other people with different points of view from this that think this is a grift, that think this is a way to mold people's minds so that we are divided. And they're pulling away from it. They are seeing clearly. They are taking themselves out of that population now of people who think that everything is about social injustice and racism and sexism and all of it. I contend to you, and I'd love to do it someday. Just sit down and maybe watch an hour of TV or stream for a while and find for you all the ways I can be offended, all the ways that any human can be offended, and just sit there and tweet. Oh, I'm watching this show, and let me tell you why this, and this, and I see this, and now this microaggression here, and because you can. But what about living your life? What about taking some agency? It's as though we're saying that people make no decisions for themselves, that the die is already cast when you're born, that your lot in life is set, and you can make no decisions to change that you have no agency, no power, no control over your own path. I don't buy it, man. I just don't buy it. And I think it's poisonous to preach that stuff. That it is poisonous to preach that, sorry, you're either the oppressed or the oppressor. There's no in between. This is the two groups of people that live in our society. And you know what? Whites are generally the oppressors. It makes me sick. I don't understand what purpose it serves. I don't get it. And if selling your opinion about that, if selling your rage makes you money, then I guess it is a grift. That's not to say there isn't racism. You and I, Dan, we both know there is. There is sexism. There are all kinds of isms. They're out there. I know it. We all know it. But if I had listened to the first guy who told me to stay home in the kitchen bare feet, if I had just said, oh my gosh, and let that define me and not taken my own agency and tried to get better, I can tell you all the things I was called, all the crap. So you do have control over what you listen to and how you respond to it. And I think to take that away from human beings, to call them powerless in that regard is the most demeaning, insulting thing of all.
See, you said what I think. You just said it really well right there. I got to tell you, because all right, this may get you mad at me, and I don't want it to. I think your view on abortion is you are pro-life with most circumstances, right? I think that's like.
I would call myself
there are
pro-choice.
extenuating-
I would call myself pro-choice with exceptions. I don't want to see babies aborted at 9 months. Yeah.
Okay. I contend this. When people tell me, and look, this is common sense to me. When people tell me, well, people have control over their bodies or don't or do, there's like 14 different kinds of birth control. Now, am I a rotten person for having that thought? I'm not saying I'm pro-choice, pro-life. I think incest, all that kind of stuff, rape, I get all of that. But I also think you do have a choice before you do what you do, which makes a baby.
Yeah.
Am I nuts on that? Am I wrong?
No, you're not. You're not. There are a million ways to prevent pregnancy. There are. But I also know that things happen. Stuff happens. Accidents happen. People make mistakes. They are human. And yes, there is the rape and incest thing. I get that. And that's why that's why I'm pro-choice, because I know things happen. And that there are women in the world who in no way, shape, or form are ready to have a baby. And so do I see abortion as a way to prevent pregnancy or a means of birth control? No, I don't. I would like to think that everyone understands how to prevent, how to use birth control and be responsible. I do not like to see this as the means for doing that, but I don't think you should keep a woman from making that choice for herself between her and her doctor.
Yeah, I'm sorry to drag you into that. It's just something that
it's okay.
I always like to get opinion of smart people, and I follow you because you're smart. You're not dramatic. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm not your husband, so I don't know whether, I'm just saying externally, you don't seem to be dramatic. You're common sense, and I like that. Last thing, before I let you go, you did this for years. You were on the sideline, biggest game, biggest moments. You made the choice to go do what you are doing, which is broaden. The same choice I made at ESPN. I feel like it's a broadening, and it's an activity, a participating in the real world. However, you're watching these games, you miss it?
There are aspects, but I don't pine for it. I think I look back and I go, God, I remember that. That was so cool. How lucky I have been to have done it for so long at the highest level. I mean, but standing out in that cold in Kansas City, nope, don't miss it. There are moments, but no, I think I planned for this for so long, and I was preparing myself in every way, shape, and form for so long that, no, I was ready, and I'm enjoying my life. And now, I'm on the sidelines of my kids' games, and I get to cheer. I didn't ever get to cheer. You don't get to pull for a team or anything like that for all those years. And now I get to pull for my kids. So I was ready. I know what it takes to put a game on the air. And my poor family sits there while I say, where the hell's the replay? Why is this replay taking so long? How did you cut away from that shot? Why, things like that. Sorry, family. That's kind of how I'm wired. But miss it. I miss Al and Chris and Fred and Drew and everyone else on the crew. I miss that. But no, I'm so freed now to just breathe and be part of this conversation that I think is so freaking important, Dan. And I got to tell you, it's worth it to me.
Me too. I to your point, I had a party. Mike Tirico and our producer and our director, Bart Fox and Scott Johnson, came to my house. We had a barbecue. We were doing an Indiana-Purdue game the next day. And we're we're watching a football game. I think it was a national championship game at my house. And honest to God, I wanted to punch all three of them. It was like TV with nerds. I can't believe that camera angle. I can't believe they cut to that.
Yeah.
Can you? There was a 3 count there. I'm like, shut up, all of you! Like, you're making me crazy here.
I know. I maybe need to go watch in another room or not be so involved somehow, or just maybe journal it. I'll just write it down. Camera shot bad, and not let it out of my mouth. But I can't. It's just who you are when you're in television for so long, and you know what goes into it. But for the most part, I thought really well-produced games yesterday, entertaining games, especially that second game. With San Francisco, you kind of knew it was over once Brock Purdy was hurt, and there was not going to be a fourth miracle quarterback for them. It was rough. It was too bad. I wish that game had played out with Brock Purdy. Whether or not they would have won, I don't think so, but I would have preferred to see him play the whole game. So good day of football, and I can't wait for this Super Bowl.
That's a pro, ladies and gentlemen. See, a pro does this. She went back to where we started. See what happened there? We started. That's what a pro does right there. Got through all of the other stuff, but we're right back where we started.
You're giving me way too much credit, man. Way too much.
Sideline Sanity Podcast. People can find it, I assume, wherever they get their podcasts. What's going on
Wherever
this week?
they can. Subscribe.
Thanks, Michelle. Thank you so much.
Great to see
Fun
you.
stuff. I kept you too long. Kept you way
it's
too
been
long.
my pleasure.
Sorry about that.
My pleasure.
I get fast. I love talking to smart people. Actually, if you want to know the truth, I like talking to smart women. I do. I love my wife. We sit there and we just have these long talks about sport. I do. I am America's biggest woman's advocate. Yes, I am. All right, we're going to come back. Stock up, stock down, including, Illinois State basketball. That's right. Indiana basketball. Stock down. We're including our president. We'll be right back.
NIL, when it comes to Florida, has been a story over the last couple of weeks because of Jaden Rashada. And you put out a great piece with a timeline on kind of how things went down, who kind of was the one involved in this, situation with Jaden Rashada. And so let's kind of dive into that. Coming off your reporting, and I don't want you to give everything away because I want people to go and read it. But what we're kind of looking into this thing for the last couple of months, man, what were some of your big takeaways, maybe shocked you, or you just, when you dug deep into it, you're like, okay, wait a minute, this doesn't feel right?
Well, I think that's probably the first thing to note is this has been ugly publicly for 2 weeks. But as you said there, it's been going on for 2 months. And I think the big thing is, and I didn't really touch on it in the story, was it was so interesting to follow Florida and Miami this year. Obviously, you've got John Ruiz, a billionaire, pretty deep pockets, and he's just throwing money and caution to the wind. Wanted to see his Hurricanes get back to the top, and there were so many instances, more than I can remember since I've been covering the team since 2013, where Florida and Miami were 1-2 or in the top 3 with commits in the same class. And I think Florida just came out second place or third place to Miami so many times. And I think what precipitated this whole incident was Florida trying to get a win back. And this was right after Cormani McClain shocked the world. And it was right after Florida had gotten back into conversations with Jaden, because prior to him coming to Miami, they had rescinded the scholarship offer. I think saw the writing on the wall. Jaden had told them, hey, I'm going to go to Miami. And I think what you got was Florida and boosters or collective people around Florida like, hey, we need to get a win.
All right, we got stock up and we have got stock down. Stock up, ladies and gentlemen. Let's start with that. When Nick Sirianni left the Colts and he went and became the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. His initial press conference was really goofy. He was making goofy faces. A lot of people question his sanity, much less anything else. I mean, they question whether the dude was insane or fit or high or drunk or whatever. Well, ladies and gentlemen, guess what? Nick Sirianni, the offensive and tough brainchild all those years when the Colts weren't horrible. They weren't great, but they weren't horrible. Got his head coaching job, and now he's taking the Eagles to the Super Bowl. And I want you to think about that. Here's what he did. He owned, ladies and gentlemen, he owned his initial press conference. He owned being a guy that people made fun of. He owned being bad at the press conference. So guess what? Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Not only did he own it, he showed it to the players. He showed how, look, I had to get better. I was a clown. And his players, as players do, buy into those things. When a coach doesn't act all high and mighty, when a coach acts like one of them and can show it, not by being phony, not by being anything other than yourself. And Sirianni did a wonderful, wonderful job, not only with his team, but ingraining himself with the players. And by showing him in a light that makes fun of himself, man, oh man, that's a winning proposition. I got to tell you, I don't know which way I'm betting on the Super Bowl against the Chiefs, but I would have a hard time betting against Nick Sirianni. I'm sorry, I do. I have a very, 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 very hard time. See you, Brad Buffington. Thanks for being here. Brad's one of our great YouTube followers from Wisconsin. All right, next, Illinois State. Yes, the Redbirds, ladies and gentlemen, took on the top team in the Missouri Valley. That's right. The Southern Illinois Salukis came in right down the road is where Southern Illinois was from. Illinois State, with the great Doug Collins, who the court is named after, in attendance. Illinois State, ladies and gentlemen, battling. When they played the Salukis the first time, they were up, Illinois State was 3 at halftime. They ended up losing. They played this time. They're up 3 at halftime. They didn't end up losing this time. Got up by as much as 10 in the second half. And, man, here came the Salukis. Whap, 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 defense, tie game. And then Seneca Knight happened. Seneca Knight is one of the great players in the Missouri Valley. Boy, did he happen. He hit a 3 from about here to Carbondale. And Illinois State got to win. Dan, why are you talking about Illinois State? Well, as the great Sean Black, El Presidente, said on our YouTube chat, the Fighting Andrew Dakiches. The Fighting Andrew Dakiches got to win. They're getting better. We all know that Arch Madness, when it comes around in St. Louis, it's going to be chaos, and we just hope, for my sake, as much as any, that the Illinois State Redbirds continue to play well. I think I'm going to go to the game Wednesday, which means I won't get home till about 1 o'clock in the morning, so I'll be tired on Thursday. But hey, look, who cares? Who gives a rat's, right? Nobody cares. I'm ready to go. Senator BS has got another HR meeting. No. All right, next, Mike Vrabel. We spoke on Mike Vrabel earlier. I meant to send. Mike Vrabel sent me a text. I knew that Mike Vrabel listened to my show. He had told friends of mine. I knew that Mike Vrabel followed me on Twitter. I followed him on Twitter. I'm a big fan of Mike Vrabel. This is going way back. This is going way back to the days of him being at Ohio State, New England, Chiefs, all that stuff. Big fan of Vrabel. Thought the Colts should have hired Mike Vrabel, not Frank Reich. Mike Vrabel knows that this Saturday we are having a fundraiser. It's a concert. We got to sell 200 tickets. We're getting close. The problem you have with a concert this Saturday is it is basically right after the Indiana-Purdue game, which is going to be the biggest game in Assembly Hall probably since Indiana played Kentucky years ago with Tom Crean. All right. Here's the deal. Vrabel sends me a text. The fundraiser is for a bikes program my wife and I do. He says, hey, Dan, tough one for Ohio State, but I've got this Mongoose bike that I want to send. It's in its box. It's brand new. Could you use it at your fundraiser? The answer is yes. My wife and I will put it together. We will have it at the fundraiser, and we will auction it off as a gift from Mike Vrabel. If we get as little as $200 for the bike, that pays for another bike for a kid. So Mike Vrabel, we salute you, Mike Vrabel. We wish you were in Indianapolis. We wish you would come now to Indianapolis. But look, I get it. Boom. There it is right there. Experience the joy of live music with a mission of helping others. If you want to join, go to Concerts for a Cause or just simply send me, hey, Dan, I want to donate. Just go to my Twitter at Dan Dakich, and I will get you all hooked up. We are trying to raise so much money, Van Pastor Man, that we've got to give away too many bikes, which there is obviously no such thing as too many bikes. But salute to you, Mike Vrabel. Tony Dungy has helped us before. Mike Vrabel, it's awesome. We thank you. And it was out of the blue. I was working out. What's-her-face was kicking my backside on the Peloton. One of those girls was just killing me. I can't remember her name, but she's hot and she crushes me. And I like it. I do. I think I got a little crush on one of them. Anyway, all right, down. You freaking idiots that are Philadelphia Eagles fan. All right, let's see the first video here of these idiots. This is from our own Joe Kinsey on OutKick. Let's give it a look. Look at this. Look at this. This is what are we doing, Eagles fans? Look, the fat white guy from Philadelphia is arguably among the worst, if not the worst, sports fans. But it gets worse, ladies and gentlemen. Here's something from Barstool, our friends at Barstool. Boom! Right through the bus stop. Show that again, will you? I want people to get the full Monty of right through the old bus stop. See ya. Good for you. Good for you. But it gets worse. Here we go. Yeah, just cuff them. Eagle fans are getting arrested. Eagle fans were throwing eggs at people. Eagle fans, my backside. I mean, what are you going to do? I'm glad that Eagle fans are so passionate. In fact, I went to the Eagles Stadium, whatever the hell it's called, for the Army-Navy game, and everybody worked there was like the most polite human beings alive. But these folks are idiots. If they fall through a bus stop roof, they got what they deserve. If they get arrested, they got what they deserve. Next stop down, Jim Harbaugh, what are you doing? Like, Jim Harbaugh, there's a report that Jim Harbaugh met with the Denver Broncos even after all this crap about Jim Harbaugh, I don't know, becoming a dude that I guess Jim Harbaugh is supposed to, stay with Michigan. So even after all of these pronouncements, all of the different things, Jim Harbaugh is still last week meeting with the Denver Broncos. If I'm Jim Harbaugh and I get an offer, just go. Here's the deal. You don't have to deal with Ohio State anymore. You don't have to deal with NIL anymore. You don't have to deal with an NCAA investigation. Go Pete Carroll route and just go to the NFL. You proved you could be a good coach in the NFL. Heck, you went to a Super Bowl. You proved that you could win with an okay quarterback. You made Colin Kaepernick not only a Super Bowl quarterback, but an icon. If you didn't do your work with Colin Kaepernick, then I got to tell you, nobody would have cared that he kneeled, but you did. You made him a star. Next thing you know, he's kneeling. Next thing you know, he's made millions of dollars. Next thing you know, he's the next Messiah. If I'm Jim Harbaugh and I got all this interest, just go. G-O spells go, as my mother used to say. Carly Ursay Gordon is one of the owners of the Indianapolis Colts. She is going to be the next owner when Papa Ursay steps down. So Carly has been seen on the sideline wearing a headset with a clipboard. Hey man, it's her prerogative. It's absolutely her prerogative, but I would ask, very clearly I would ask, I don't know, what does a meddling owner, or what has a meddling owner to that degree ever won? Now, Carly is sitting in on the head coaches meetings. What's happening is Jim Irsay, for whatever the reason, is trusting Chris Ballard to make the head coaching call. Everybody seems to think that Jim Irsay just wants to get it done and go with Jeff Saturday. I don't know if that's true. They're interviewing 14 different coaches, bringing 7 back for a 7th interview, and Carly is involved in all of it. God bless you, Carly, but let me ask you a question. Name me the owner, other than L. Davis 3,000 years ago. Name me the owner that meddling to this degree in modern football where this has worked. I'll hang up and I will listen. Last thing, Joe Biden. Just play this video if you don't mind, just because Joe Biden. Just because I've had enough of Joe Biden. Go ahead and play the video. Joe Biden, every day, stock down.
We're showing the strength and we'll never falter. But look, the idea that we're going to send in offensive equipment and have planes and tanks and trains going in with American pilots and American crews, just understand, and don't kid yourself, no matter what you all say, that's called World War III.
Today, I'm announcing that the United States will be sending 31 Abrams tanks to Ukraine, the equivalent of 1 Ukrainian battalion. Secretary Austin has recommended this step because it will enhance the Ukraine's capacity to defend its territory and achieve its strategic objectives.
I remember when, because of Donald Trump's personality, we were going to get into World War III. I don't know if you remember, but when Donald Trump, because of his personality, we didn't get into World War III. People didn't think he was a fraud. People didn't think that he was anything other than a guy that would defend the United States of America. This idiot continues to contradict himself. This idiot has shown that he really doesn't know what he's talking about when he initially says something. I mean, it's clear. If you now have to send tanks, you did not know what you were talking about back then, or you want to start World War III, you want to be involved in World War III. Look, I got to tell you, this is the worst president of our lifetime, and it ain't stopping. Now, people are so stupid that they may not understand that this is the worst president of our lifetime, but that's why we have shows like this. We have shows like this to help you understand presidents, to help you understand what's really going on into the world. That's as clear as it could possibly be. If we sent U.S. troops, military, planes, tanks, you name it, as Biden just said, we are starting creepily World War III. Well, guess what he just did? Did he start World War III? I don't know. If he did, we're all in trouble, because you're talking about sending tanks to Ukraine against a country that has nuclear capability. Not the greatest move, at least in my opinion. But I sit here and I talk to you. All I know is this: when Joe Biden moves his lips, there is something stupid coming out, or there is a lie coming out. That is a fact, Jack. All right, great job so far today. You got one more job, Dylan and Ryan. Get us a woke-a-dope up here. They did. All right, Sandy. Vaccines brought us freedom and saved our economy. Big thanks to everyone who did their part. Well, good for you. I don't know if vaccines brought us freedom. I hope they did. I hope everybody that says this is right. I do. It seems to me that vaccines, and certainly I got vaccinated because I had to work, and I'm not going to do anything to back off of that. Would I have gotten vaccinated? Probably. My wife has not. We're not crazy anti-vaxxer. We're not crazy, hey, look, everybody that doesn't get vaccinated is a good person. Everybody that did is a sheep. I'm not that guy. I am not that guy. But I am the guy that says, hey, look, everybody should have had to be able to make their own choice. And if that saved an economy, then that saved an economy. So there you go. Some guy, Big Boiler Andy, says Dan Dakich is one of the worst humans alive. No, I just don't care about pro athletes' mental health. I know I'm supposed to. Logan Klein said, Dan, this is a bad take. Money don't make you happy. I don't care whether they're happy or not. Do better, Dan. Horrible take. I'm sorry, I don't. Am I supposed to? I don't care. I don't. Dan, so we're not supposed to care about fellow humans. Interesting. Yeah, well. No. Yeah. Money doesn't solve everything. I have enough to care about. I care about my family. I care about my kids. I care about my neighbors. I care about everybody that works on this show. You know, mental health to athletes, get your own deal going. Figure it out. There's all kind of things available to athletes for mental health. So you can call me anything that you would like to call me. But I don't sit here for 1 second, not one instant, thinking about the mental health of professional athletes. I do about my daughter. I do about my son. I do about my stepkids. I do about my wife, my mother, my brother, my sister, brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, their kids, my nieces and nephews. I certainly do. I worry about them all the time, and I pray for them. But the list of me caring where some athlete who pushed a guy out of bounds mental health is very, very low. Actually, it's not even low. It's not there at all. Don't care. See, I believe when you do something stupid, if you have any background at all, it makes you tougher. I do. Turning the ball over against Virginia, costing, according to a lot of people, it really didn't, but costing people to go to the Final Four, having people still heckle me about it has made me stronger. My friend Mike Paulson missed 2 free throws, no time on the clock. 18,000 people, statewide audience, biggest game in the state, maybe in the state's history, missed 2 free throws, down 1, no time on the clock. He became a CEO. I worry about those people that don't have adversity in their life. I worry about those people that have everything given to them. I worry about those people who every mistake is explained away by mommy or daddy or their buddy. See, that's what I think. I've lived enough to know that the young guy calling me a bad human being, this guy's like a 2023 graduate, doesn't understand the world. If you haven't gone through tough stuff, how do you grow? The doctor didn't smack you on the ass and say, hey, look, everything's going to be easy. No, suicide rates are up for a lot of reasons. Social media is certainly one of the reasons. But one of the reasons that suicide rates are up is because people don't have to go through hard times. They don't know how to handle it. Mommy and daddy have protected it. I'm very proud to say that my children were not protected. When they did wrong, they went and put their nose in the corner. Occasionally, I got out of paddle. They seemed to be just fine. They both had struggles with different things. Not mental health struggles. They both had struggles, a job here, not knowing what they want to do. It's really hard for an athlete after they get done playing to understand and do and figure out what they want to do. My son dealt with that, but you know what? He came out the ass end stronger because he has a background of understanding. Understanding, ladies and gentlemen, that the world is not here for easy. Leah says, yes, because I too do not care about the mental health of young men who lost their childhood to pro sports pop line and suddenly get skyrocketed to wealth and fame, only for their careers to, good for you, man. Good for you. I do not. And I will take all of the stuff that people want to give me. So now we are supposed to care. I do not. Dan, keep yelling. That cloud will respond to you. Yes. Ethan Carter says, he's a hockey writer, he says, you're just tweeting BS for fun. No, I don't care. What a shitty ass take from such a shitty human being. Okay, well, call me whatever you want. Is what it is. I don't care. I do care about Dylan. I do care about Ryan. I do care about Davey. I do care about Aaron. I do care about Chuck and Corey and Haley and all of the people that made the screen just turn green. So now we're supposed to care. Those are the people I care about, including my whole family. I hope you'll join me in caring about your family more. That'll take care of any of the problems that we have across the country, the nuclear family. All right, see you tomorrow. Thanks for everything. We'll see you. Baker Mayfield possibly out of Cleveland.